Hi, Christine. This is Jackie in the library, and I wanted to introduce you to our newspaper databases. Those are the databases, resources that you would use that you can access for free to get kind of more of those current news articles. These do tend to be current to the point where it's from 1990, 95 to now, so the 70s and 80s are kind of a miss there, but we can certainly take a look at those. Other local newspapers for that time period, you might find yourself actually wanting to go to that site, and whether it's the Oregonian, the New York Times, for example. If you go to one of those sites, like the Oregonian or the New York Times, and you find something that, and again, you run into something where you're being asked to pay, this is when you would put in an interlibrary loan request, and we can go ahead and get those articles for you. Especially the Oregonian, it's digitized right now actually on the Oregon Historical Index, so that's someplace that you might want to look. It's actually free. But let's start with our databases. And you'll start at the college homepage, which is, bluecc.edu, that part there, and then you'll navigate to the library, which you probably remember is right over here. As we scroll down, we're going to click on Library Databases, and we'll click on, well, I'm not going to click on newspapers. Actually, the database I want to show you is not in that listing because it's kind of special. It's in our L through Z, and as you scroll down, it is actually under newspaper source, but it's through our EBSCO database. EBSCO, which I probably have shown you, is a great database. It covers a lot of different topics, and it has different specialty areas, and one of their specialty areas is covering just newspapers. And this is where you could play with your topic. So, I mean, you can start with the obvious, Roe v. Wade. Some things that start changing a little bit in this database. It's really precise. It tries to guess what you're thinking, kind of like Google, but it really is kind of thinking that, you as the researcher might be a little bit more precise of what you're looking for. So some things that are different is a search on Roe v. Wade is different, will bring up different results than Roe versus Wade. That small change will make a difference. You might find, since you are looking for the Norma McCovey, I think that was her name, suddenly I'm forgetting, the Roe person, you might want to look up her name as well. But I'm going to go ahead and just start with Roe v. Wade. And in fact, a lot of topics start auto-populating. That's where they're trying to guess for me. You know what I mean by that. This is where you could add certain topics if you wanted to add either anything specific about opinions or Norma particularly. You can certainly do that. At this point, I'm not going to do any other limits. If you wanted to limit to date now, you could, but I just want to start here. I like seeing all the results before I start limiting. That's just my search style, because I know when I get to this page and I see this many results, I can narrow that down if I'd really like. There's a couple ways to do that. Right now we go back to 1995. If you really just wanted to focus on maybe this topic, say in the last couple of years, you could just move forward and do that. If you wanted to focus just on a certain time period, like say you wanted to focus on, say, topics that came around, like say 1998, and I'm saying 1998 because perhaps there's a lot of articles written in that on that 25th anniversary of the court decision. That's something that you might want to take a look at as a researcher. Unfortunately, this database doesn't go back very far because doing primary research, of course, you would probably be really interested in looking at that 1973 to 1975 time period. But that's where you might find yourself, again, going to the Oregonian directly through the Oregon Historical Society database or U of O's database, or you might find yourself going directly to the New York Times to search their site to see what you find. So anyway, these are in order actually by relevance. They determine relevance by how many times this topic comes up. And these are kind of interesting. These are both NPR reports. So even though they took place on the radio, they do provide the transcript. The other thing you can do is sort by date if you'd like. So one thing here, a new play, but you probably don't want to read about a new play, though that could be interesting. How are people looking at this? I mean, this has become a topic. A Supreme Court has become a play. That's really kind of interesting, actually. But, since you did specifically talk about Norma McCorvey, not McCovey. Okay, I don't know what I was thinking. This might be very interesting. And, of course, as you know, she just died. So from a research point of view, that's you know, very, it really brings this topic to light again. So this article is available in HTML, and so what that means is that you can actually listen to it if you'd like, but of course the entire transcript is right here. Hopefully the entire thing is right here. That seems like a short little report, but you could listen to it. As far as citing this, I'm going to move the screen over here to the right. You have some nice features. You can email this to yourself, but the citation tool is right here. If we click here, this should give you a good sample of the MLA format you're using for this class. You just have to scroll down and find MLA. Here it is. And that actually looks pretty decent. Generally, your instructor probably won't want you to necessarily include this part right here. You might want to talk to Mr. Capusta about that and his standards. So that's just an example. You know, we saw a lot more articles, just to go back. And this is where I'd actually, yep, here's our long list. And you can browse through here. And again, you might decide you want to narrow this down a little bit more if you'd like. But this is really, but a lot of interesting articles, it looks like. So these are specifically newspapers because that's what you asked for. Of course, there's, and then the Jane Roe, you know, and that's something we could have put in. We could have put in either Norma, of course, or Jane Roe as our search term. So anyway, I hope this helps. You can see there's a ton here. So just let me know, again, if you find you want something more from that 70s, 80s time period, that's where interlibrary loan might kick in. Or, you know, if it's from the Oregonian, going to their site, seeing what they'll give you for free. So, all right, well, happy researching.